West Louisville Economic Summit. And we're glad to have you all here, ready to get started in a few seconds here. So make yourself at home, get around someone that you don't know so you can engage and get to know someone new. But we're excited to bring around the topic of peace and prosperity, and how that mingles together to make our society better, okay? So basically, my name's Herbert Johnson. I'm the master of ceremony for the day, and looking forward to a pleasant day of learning about what we do in the community to enhance a better community we live in. On behalf of Louisville Central Community Center and the Rotary Club and our sponsors and partners, we welcome everyone to our campus. This is an epic center, which you all see, all know about. Those that haven't never been here, take your time and take around, take a look at what we do, and this venue is really nice. It's got a lot of opportunities for businesses in the community. So with that said, let's get started. We have our invocation to get started, and our invocation will be done by LCC board member Floyd Smith.
Good morning, everybody. Let us have a word of prayer. Thank you. Our most gracious Father, we want to say thank you this morning for this opportunity. Thank you for the foresight of having a summit that would express what we need is prosperity, the peace that we need, all these things that are going on in our country right now, oh God, that is dividing us. Let us have something that would unite us, oh God, and continue to work together one with the other, knowing that we all need one another in order for this world to work. So Lord God, we just want to say thank you for LCCC, who has come together for the 9th time to put on this Economic Mobility Summit. And thank you for the leadership here as well. And Lord God, continue to bless those who have come out to actually learn and see what mobility is all about when it comes to economics. So Lord God, we just say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everybody that is here, everybody that are on their way, and when they get here, blessed as well. Continue to bless us, keep us in the arm of your care. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray and we ask it all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Floyd, for that invocation. I'd like to spend the next seconds recognizing our leader at LCC, President and CEO, Kevin Fields.
Thank you, Herbert, and good morning, everybody. It's great to look out and see this assembly this morning. I just checked in with our team and found out that we should have this room packed with at least 70 people, but I believe our community might be sleeping in on this beautiful Friday morning, and we expect the room to fill up as the day goes. But as Herbert said, I'm Kevin Fields. I'm the president and CEO of LCCC. And I want to welcome you here to the 9th annual West Louisville Economic Mobility Summit. This event for us is a part of a 3-part series that we've taken on as a part of the agency's strategic plan to mobilize and engage our community in accordance with our portfolio of direct services, being early child development, being school-age youth empowerment, as well as adult economic mobility. And our goal is to bring our community together to address critical issues that we know we need to see a breakthrough on. And there's none more important than economic mobility or economic empowerment. And over this journey of the past 9 years, and I'm looking forward to next year, that'll be our 10th year, that's a big milestone. But over the 9 years, we have touched on a wide range of issues, from the basics of what gets in the way, what are the barriers to economic mobility, whether families need help with support services, with training programs, the whole gamut, everything from dealing with substance issues to workforce skills. We've touched on it. We've also explored workforce development needs. Our economy goes up and down in terms of workforce needs. And we were looking up a few years ago, and we were talking from a state perspective about a workforce skills shortage. So we took that on to see how can we mobilize our community to deal with the skills shortage that had been identified by leadership in Kentucky. And then for several years, we've talked about entrepreneurship, the need to close the gap around wealth development through empowerment of more entrepreneurs. And then we've took on issues like food insecurity, the economics of food. We've taken on the economics of health equity. And this year, thanks to our planning committee and the work that they've done over the past several months, we decided to take on this focus on wealth building. And so, the subtext is prosperity through peace. And that was brought to us through our strong partnership with the Rotary Club of Louisville. And again, I want to thank our club. I'm proud to be a Rotarian. I'm proud to have our support of our club president, who you're going to hear from in just a few minutes. Also, other strong Rotarians that you're going to hear from on the panel. And throughout the day, we're going to be talking about this theme of prosperity through peace. And we're just excited about that. So I do want to acknowledge the support of our team, the staff that works hard every day to make this mission go at LCCC. We have a strong staff team, and as we dub ourselves, we're small but mighty. We got a core staff that's highly skilled, and we take on a big mission, and I think we do it quite well. So I'm very proud of the team. Give my team a hand, if you will. Also, really excited to have strong board leadership at this organization. The board is very much engaged and very passionate about the success of the organization. And you're going to hear from some board members. You've already heard from Brother Floyd Smith, who provides leadership in a very genuine way in a lot of areas, our resource development, our finance, our special events. He's always on deck. And you're going to hear from Robert Byers, who will be moderating the panel. And so I want to thank them. Give my board, any other board members that I didn't recognize. If you're a board member of this organization, stand up. Thank you. And I'm always honored, and it really touches my heart whenever we do these community engagements, and I'm able to look in the room, and the first person that shows up is Miss Emma Lucille Allen, who is a living legend. She was here greeting me when I showed up this morning, and it really helps us to know that we're on to something when we can get her attention and get her involved. And Reverend Elliott, good to see you, always, my friend. Good to see you. You're going to hear from a great program today. I do want to thank all of the sponsoring organizations. I've mentioned the Rotary Club. We've had great sponsorship from them for 4 years consecutive. And we've got Rotarians in the room. As a result of that, good to see Delene Taylor, always our club exec. And you're going to hear from our club president in a moment. Great partnership with the Small Business Development Center. David Ogden, who leads that, is here. Good to see you, David, always. Proud to be a board member also at Waterfront Park. And always great to see Alex Vega when he shows up representing Waterfront. And that's great. We've got Revert in the house. Revert is a redlining mitigation initiative of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and they're here with a special grant opportunity that individuals who qualify can get up to $50,000 to support first-time home ownership, and that's just a treasure of an opportunity. Great to see Humana, Healthy Horizons here. They've been great supporters. Margie is here. Thank you, and our friends always who you're going to hear from. Renee Goatley later, representing the Human Relations Commission of Louisville, Jefferson County. So I just want to say thank you. You're going to hear from a powerful keynote in a moment. I'm really excited about Jasmine Presley. We had her in the studio with us yesterday, and she's going to educate. Even though we don't have a strong, packed house like we want to see, we do want to acknowledge that these proceedings are being recorded. Thanks to Brother Fred Lee Reynolds, who's here with 5 Part Media, and we will be presenting these proceedings via our YouTube channel shortly after we process this, and we'll be publishing a report for the community to learn from what we learned during this day. My final comment is these summits are really about community empowerment and community voice. So as we go through today, we want you to take in information only to inspire you to speak about what the issues are that you're concerned about on this pathway to wealth building. And so all of us should be on that pathway at some level or another, but we want to talk about what gets in the way, what opportunities can we leverage, how can we make a bigger impact statement around wealth building and prosperity through peace. So I want to thank you all for being here.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. We appreciate that. And our next speaker will be Robert. Who's? Okay. Okay, Ken, okay. Ken, please. I'm fine, but how you doing? Ken Saboski, President of the Rotary Club.
Morning, everybody. Great to be here on this beautiful day. Always inspiring when you're in the presence of Dr. Kevin Fields and Elmer Lucille. I'll tell you what, these are great events. Our Rotary Club welcomes partnering again with Dr. Fields and the Louisville Central Community Centers for another summit. This one, Prosperity Through Peace, is timely for us as Rotary International has designated October as the Economic and Community Development Month. With nearly 400 members, our Rotary Club is the 12th largest in the world. There are more than 45,000 clubs worldwide, and the clubs all strive for peace and prosperity in their communities through service above self to make our communities better. We are guided by the Rotary 4-way test, what we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? Our club members mentor students at Western and Iroquois high schools, fund scholarships, serve meals at Recenter Ministries, assist refugee families, help build homes, help repair homes, help to provide loans for first-time homeowners through a special initiative in West Louisville to help build wealth. We work to reduce gun violence in our neighborhoods and provide clean water for neighborhoods in other countries who don't have easy access to it. We participate in life-changing projects globally, like eradicating polio. We help develop young leaders through our literacy program at West End School and sponsoring Interact clubs. We honor unsung heroes in our schools with special recognition and scholarship money, all schools in Jefferson County. All our Rotarians are focused on positively impacting people. When we do that, you help create prosperity through peace. And we welcome guests to our meetings each week and to help serve along with us. These summits invigorate and excite us, move us to do more, and we appreciate the opportunity to be a part of them and appreciate Dr. Kevin Fields and his team members for making it happen. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ken. And now we're at the time where we all came forward to hear from the panelists to get some more insight on peace and prosperity for the community. So our friend Robert Byers is going to lead that part of our session. And Robert, please come up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Byers. I'm the Community Development Manager for Woodforest National Bank, and I'll be the moderator. Before I jump in, I do want to reiterate and give another shout out to Jasmine Presley. That was a great presentation, definitely. As a banker, I really appreciate those numbers and stats that you provided. That's music to my ears, and you know, a lot of you can really see where we stand as a community and where we need to grow. Another thing I really appreciated is the policies that you presented. And actually, my role at the bank, there was another policy called the Community Reinvestment Act, which passed in 1972, which it first initiated from redlining, which she mentioned, because banks were redlining back, you know, before the civil rights. But so the government put in the CRA Act, and that's literally what I do at my job, and it's grown from more than just redlining. We have to focus on economic development, affordable housing, community development, and revitalizing low-income neighborhoods. So without that act, I wouldn't be up here talking right now. Another thing that I really appreciated from her presentation, notice she constantly had the word peace and prosperity. And that's going to be the theme for the panel discussion as well. So I'm going to just kind of briefly give you an overview of what we'll be talking about. Positive peace is really the real motive of this conversation as I have the panelists come up. According to the Rotary International, positive peace is the presence of attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies. They actually have 8 pillars of positive peace. A well-functioning government. I was told to be hopeful, so I'm not going to comment on that. Sound business environment, equitable distribution and resources, good acceptance to the rights of others, good relations with neighbors, free flow of information, high levels of human capital, and low levels of corruption. Economic peace building is more than stability, it's empowerment. Rotary International defines positive peace as the presence of systems that allow human potential to flourish. This panel, come on up, gentlemen. This panel will explore how entrepreneurship, investments, and home ownership serve as instruments of both prosperity and peace. I'll have questions from 3 different sectors. Obviously, the peace and prosperity, barriers and breakthroughs, and the power of partnership. And so with that being said, as they have a seat, I'd like to go around and have our panelists introduce themselves. Please give your name, your organization, and then we'll start the panel discussion. We'll start right here.
Yep, my name is Matthew Harrell. I am the CEO of APK Development and Construction. We are a construction development firm based here in Louisville, Kentucky, that operates both in Kentucky, Tennessee, St. Louis, and in Cincinnati.
How you guys? Sorry about that. All right. My name is Charles Burns. I am the founder and CEO of He Consulting and Development. I focus on community engagement in between technology and financials and everything in the middle. So think So think AI, GAI, and automations for B2B businesses, and utilizing VR technology to increase workforce development and accelerate that. And then on the financials, think about life insurance, annuities, Roth IRAs, 401k rollovers, and everything in between. So think fintech, blockchain, crypto technology, smart contracts, and so forth.
Did I do this right? It's turned on?
And, well, you don't need the mic.
My name is Rick Harned. I'm retired for quite a few years now after a career that started with First National Bank here in Louisville, if anybody remembers that organization. Then I was with the Kentucky World Trade Center, and the last 10 years with Marsh & McLennan, helping operate their email systems around the world. I'm active very much now with the Rotary Club, and am continuing to study and learn how we can make our community work a little better.
Hello. Hello, my name is Kendrick Porter. I am the owner of the Exercise Coach here in Kentucky, St. Matthews in Middletown as well. What we do is artificial intelligent workouts. We create a workout specifically for the client, so we don't do any getting on the floor, no jumping up and down, no heavy lifting, no dumbbells, but the workout is created just for them. And everything we do is 20 minutes, where it increases health stability and also mental stability and balance as well. The #1 personal training service in the world. So we have 40 locations also outside of United States and Japan as well. And so developing globally and building health overall.
Hi, my name is Edwin Fox. I'm a financial advisor for Raymond James. I've been doing it 26 years. The Raymond James firm's been around since 1962. We have an office in St. Matthews. We manage about $120 million. I manage about $60 million, about 250 households. Pretty much my customer base is pretty much 99% African Americans. And I have about 13 African American households that are millionaires, ranging from $1 million all the way up to about $7 million.
All right, thank you guys. So we'll jump right into the questions. The first question, how does economic stability contribute to a safer and more peaceful communities? Anybody want to jump in? Go ahead. We can go around.
When you ask that question, I think about an old saying that idle hands, right, will do the devil's work. And so when you think about stability in any community and actually in any system, what you're really talking about is the ability to focus on something that is beneficial or interesting to a particular party or a particular community. And I think when you think about what has happened, particularly in the Black community, when I was growing up, we had things like Boys Club, we had after-school activities, we had, Girls Boy Scouts. So there are multiple things that were nestled within the community that gave us an opportunity to be exposed to things that were outside of our community. And when you don't have that, then essentially what you have is a not only disenfranchised population, but you also have a population that is just trying to find their way in a community or in a city that they feel has left them behind. So when you talk about stability, you have to talk about what it means to actually have a community. A location is not a community. It is the interaction within that location that makes it a community.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'd like to make a comment on also, when you talk about mobility, also you focus on your financial ability, just your ability to go to college, ability that maybe you have a job in Nashville and you relocate to Dallas, Texas. or your ability to be a homeowner, or even the ability to just buy a car and own that car. And depending on what the insurance costs living in a predominantly suburban area versus living in an urban area. You know, financial plays a major part of economic mobility, starting a business, even getting a loan. All that plays a role. So financial security is a key to that mobility, being able to make your own choices where you want to live, how you want to live, and growing opportunity as you age in our society, because everybody still has, with that mobility, the American dream, that you want to be better off in the future.
Thank you.
So when I think of economic mobility, I think of how I grew up, what I found out now, and where I'm going towards. For example, I grew up right across the street in Village West for 15 years, 582 Village West Drive, okay? Then in 2013, I went to the University of Kentucky for community and leadership development. You know what, for a class, one of my last classes, they pulled up my neighborhood. And a person said, "Aren't you from there? What was it like growing up there?" And I'm one out of two African-American people in the class. So there is a disassociation and understanding from people that want to be in a community with you, but don't understand because it's systematic. They don't understand that they're on their parents' car insurance and out in Prospect or houses like that, and their insurance is low because of that. But my address is still in my mom's house at 24th and Chestnut, so my premium's much higher. So when we talk about economic mobility, we're not talking about, hey, we're now giving more grants through the city to nonprofits. That is great, but I'm talking about economic mobility when I go apply for life insurance because I have a certain zip code and say my racial card, my premium doesn't go up. So that's why I got into systems and technology, because I understand the redlining through the technology. It's ingrained in. So we can get more money, we can do this and that, but if you don't teach people how systems are the barriers directly from applying to funding, grants, because I've done grant reporting and monitoring too, right? If we don't directly change the policies for the applications of the resources, then it's null and void, right? I was just talking to one last thing. I was just talking to my friend at the state yesterday. She says Kentucky has no more money for food stamps. They're about to send a memo out from our boss next week. She said I can say that today, right? Okay, so what's about to happen in the aftermath of that? We have a week until the people are supposed to get their food stamps, right? But nobody knows, so nobody can prepare. People were fighting during COVID over toilet paper. What happens when kids are actually hungry? So systems and understanding on how systems work down to the finite application of your person on paper or your business on paper and how that reflects you of even getting a hold of the resources. That's the first problem. Then we can handle everything else.
Thank you. Thank you. I think those were great answers. Did you want to add as well, Rick?
I would just speak a little bit on that elevated level that you just referred to, the systems way of thinking. It's not straightforward. It's very complicated, and it turns out that when you look into the discipline of systems thinking, which back in the 70s was a strength of the University of Louisville, when Dr. Miller, James Greer Miller, was the president of the university, they had a whole division working on systems thinking and helped you realize that the simple answer, the straightforward answer that seems logical, is often going to be exactly the wrong thing that makes things worse. That you have to realize that things have interactions among the different parts of it. You spoke of the 8 pillars of positive peace that basically a research tank out of Australia, the Institute for Economics and Peace, identified. They are all distinct, but they all work together and affect each other and are interacting. if you want to have a sound business environment, you better have a relatively low level of corruption throughout the political and social system. You want to have a government that works, that does the things that the people want it to do. For that, you're going to need a free flow of information, a relatively equitable distribution of resources. That's not equal resources, that's equitable. But you have to think about how anything you do is going to affect those other sides, those other aspects. When you're building your business, obviously you want to make a good income. But if you're focused entirely on the income and not on how are you affecting your employees, how are you affecting your clients, what are you doing to the physical environment you're working in, all that matters as well.
Thank you. And you actually, that was a great segue into my next question, which is how can entrepreneurship and small business ownership reduce poverty and violence in the community?
I'll take this one. All right, so when you're speaking about small business ownership, I started my first business in 2016 and sold out on a clothing brand on UK's campus, right? Just from being creativity and understanding. But we stopped because we had to pay for school, because we didn't understand how capital and getting funding and everything else worked, right? But even once we understand the how, there's the support of the continuous learning and the how. So if I'm a small business owner and I'm opening up a business, again, it's back to the economic mobility and the resources, but also the teaching thereof. They have some great programs like AMP's RTBI program and so forth, right? But how do you keep measuring, and what systems are going to be in place to measure your own business for that continuation of that sustainability and that learning, right? With the modern technology and regulations that's always changing, that you got to update to, right? So where things are constantly changing, so we needed a way to streamline that data and those updates to those small business owners that don't have the councilman or representative, state representative contact, right? You get what I'm saying? So systems again, but more access to learning and understanding directly without all the red tape. And then checks and balances and systems to do that inside of your business, so you can be self-sustainable. So,
Thank you. Anybody else?
One of the things I do is I talk to young people about finance and entrepreneurship. And matter of fact, I'm involved in a program at our church where we have computers, laptops, robots, STEM, 3D printers. And one of the things we're exposing them to how to use technology of the day. AI, which is, everybody's talking about it now. That's another focus for especially our youth, because it's just a learning model for information. And it can also help, let's just say, high school students when they're unsure about what they want to major in. And you can actually put what your, let's say, favorite courses are that you excel in, and then give you an idea of thinking about what your major should be and what your career be. Information is real key, but also I think when reducing violence, what I use, it comes down to their experience, what they see, not what really goes on in their neighborhood or with their friend, but experiences that drive the economy. And I think it's very important today that our kids get exposed to technology, get exposed to robotics, get exposed to other areas that can provide a true opportunity for having a more growth mindset for our youth versus just a, let's say, not so growth mindset.
And to kind of piggyback off the exposure aspect of it, I'm born and raised Louisville, Kentucky, Central High School graduate. And so my background is computer science. And so I transitioned from 17 years at Toyota Motor Manufacturing in management and opened my first location in Middletown. And so when we talk about exposure and being an entrepreneur, funding, I thought was the biggest aspect that I needed to tackle. But being an entrepreneur and going into that field is really about coaching on how to spending the funds, how to make sure that the funds are put in the right place as far as working capital, right? So coaching and also mentorship, I think is going to be key. It's always going to be the biggest thing, not necessarily funding, but those things are going to be the biggest thing as far as building our community here.
Yeah, just so I make sure that I'm answering correctly, could you restate the question, please?
Honestly, the question was a little bit different, but I love this dialogue.
Yeah.
So if you want to just kind of piggyback on what everybody's saying, because actually, you guys are actually answering multiple questions that I haven't even asked yet. So we're probably going to speed through this, but yeah, I'll kind of curtail it a little bit different, but go ahead and piggyback on that.
Yeah, you know, I've participated in a number of different panels. I have served on a number of different boards, Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board, Finance Committee for River City Housing. I've served as the national president for the largest Black real estate trade association in the United States. I've done a number of different cohorts, SBA. You know, currently I'm on the steering committee for Bingham Fellows. And the thought just keeps occurring to me because I participate in these panels, I participate on these boards, you know, and I'm looking for the missing ingredient, right? I'm looking for who's in the room that is going to tell me something that I don't know, right? Or that I haven't experienced, right? I'm always looking for what is the anomaly that seems to keep escaping the elevation and the growth of the Black community, the Black business person, the Black schools. And then it occurred to me that there isn't one. It occurred to me that somehow we are thinking that we have to reinvent the wheel in order for it to be prosperous or to be advantageous for the Black community. And the fact of the matter is that it doesn't. We don't require anything differently than what other people get access to. We just don't get access to it. And then we spend our time having these conversations as if something is missing within us or within our companies or within our people or within our communities. And it's not. It just seems as though that when we get to the precipice of actually making a change and really being engaged and really saying that this is what we want to do and this is why we want to do it and why this is important, then all of a sudden it becomes harder for us to scale. It becomes harder for us to be more, have more bandwidth, right? And all the time, the community is still sitting in the same spot. And this is not something that is based on rhetoric. This is not, when I first started this track, if you will, it was more passion than it was data driven. And it's very difficult to get people to pick up on your passion because people have passions, different passions for different reasons, right? But the one thing that people cannot argue with is data, right? The numbers are the numbers. The Black community has represented 22 to 23% of the city of Louisville for decades. But when we look at the marginalization of the Black community through all of these, unprecedented spending, unprecedented access to capital, surpluses in the metro government, right? Our numbers don't change. We've spent $1 billion in the last 10 years in West Louisville. That's $1 billion with a B. I would ask, is there anybody in this room that can raise their hand and tell me one major black company that has expanded, grown, or become a player within their industry, even though we have spent that type of capital in West Louisville? Just one. Just one, right? And so what that tells me is that there's money being spent, but the marginalization is still there. The access is still there. The systems are still alive and active and present while we are trying to expand and do an internal conflict check within ourselves about what is it that we're doing wrong.
Really quick, go to him and then let you wrap it up.
That's very hard to follow. That's an impressive comment. But it is, I do also want to reemphasize what Kendrick said. A key issue is that pillar of a high level of human capital. And emphasizing that next area of learning that's really going to be important and valuable. We can't know who the best mentor for us is. Nobody wears a sign saying, hey, I'm your person. You got to reach out to a wide variety of folks and recognize that Louisville is an increasingly diverse community. We've had a significant influx of people of Latin origin, of Cubans. We have had many immigrants from East Asia, from South Asia, from Africa, that are not necessarily part of the community here. But we can learn from them. We can find ways to connect with them and listen to them if we develop our own attitudes. And every one of us can think about reaching outside of our comfort zones and seeing more of the real beauty and wealth of our diverse community.
I want to say one quick thing. Also, relationships, dialogue, and those two factors build trust. You know, and being in the financial industry, that's real important. Who's going to trust you with your money? And in my business, a double-edged sword, getting black clients and also white clients to trust you with your money. And that takes time with relationships. And relationships build opportunity too. And sometimes that relationship takes years, you know? And that's important for us to communicate more often and be, let's say, introduce who you are, what you're doing, and share thoughts. And dialogue is just very important in building a better financial future for households, individuals, and just our society as a whole.
I'd like to wrap it up by saying, to piggyback off of what all these gentlemen said, exposure is the largest thing, but you have to understand where we're headed when we're talking to exposure with young kids. We're talking exposure with young kids, right? So for example, my consulting company is part founders of a technology workforce development company. So we do workshops, training, and market simulations using VR, AI, and so forth, right? So we started with 10 headsets and no money, right? I think I paid myself $5,000 out of the company that year, Ubering on the side and doing whatever I needed to be. But what we did was we took those 10 headsets without any grant funding and so forth, because we're a for-profit and non-profit, and taught technology to over 5,000 kids, big brothers, big sisters, boys and girls club, and so forth, right? But we got the real data on how kids learn, how they want to learn, and their association with who's actually teaching them, right? So we found out that gamification was the best. So then when we got that data, right, even when Louisville Metro didn't have that data on how the kids specifically are learning inside the schools, because the technology isn't there. Why? Because they're not using it, even though we have Facebook and Meta building a big, large data center across the bridge, right? So we have these programs, and one of our programs was actually a carpentry welding and construction program that we did in a partnership with Republic YMCA, Our Business Take Ignite, and then OSHA, which is OVP now. And when in 20 hours, we put a kid from Central High School that's a cybersecurity kid, right? He got his XRT certification, which is our certification, extended reality technology, and also his carpentry basic certification in 20 hours, 2 hours a week, and it's industry standard when recognized by the construction union. And then he went to go do got $500 and did 10 hours at a construction company. But that red tape was taken away, and he got education, a certification with a third of the hours than it would take the average person to do that program. And even those programs are offered at that age. We was able to pay him because he was 15. So those type of accelerated pathways we now have data from, right? And then we're talking about resources and accessibility, right? The systems that's there. But the systems that's there, the data is skewed from the actual Louisville Metro to get the grant money to pull in versus the people and collecting the data and the nonprofits and the interoperability and the collection thereof, right? So we have an organization of the data problem so we can streamline the actual solutions. Tammy Hawkins talked about that a while ago in the neighborhood, right? Everybody needs data collection. So, and I would like for y'all to know we're about to roll out a software that'll help everybody soon with projects, programs, resources, agentic agents that'll help get data, facilitate payments, and all of that in a network with all the businesses and easy, right? We need things that are easy, already in place, understand to collect the ground data to match with the data that they have. You get what I'm saying? Now we can directly really apply for the same funding because we have the real authentic data, not the data that's skewed and propped up in order to get the large amounts of money that the still nonprofits and small businesses don't see, right? So,
thank you. I swear they've answered probably about 90% of my questions already. I'm gonna have to just start making up questions on the fly by now. But no, to you all's point, you guys are giving some great feedback and great dialogue. And just to kind of piggyback on what all of you kind of noted just here, what are some local or national models that are breaking the cycle of disinvestment to entrepreneurships, real estate, micro lending? So do you guys know of any models or organizations that's actually making an impact that we could share here at this event?
From my perspective in my field, there's a number of them. In New York, for instance, there is a disproportionate, well, not disproportionate, in the field of development, we are only represented by 3%. So 3% of all developers throughout the country are diverse or Black or African American, right? Now that's interesting when you think about everything that we do involves a developer, whether we're worshiping, whether we're living, whether we're playing, or whether we're working. So there is a tremendous amount of economic leverage that goes in and out of real estate development, right? And so the fact that we are only 3% of it is extremely interesting until you understand the systems, right? So in other places that are a little bit more progressive than what we tend to be here in Kentucky, for instance, in New York, essentially they had a program, and it still runs to this day, and it had spun off a lot of very prolific, proficient African-American real estate developers. And that was that the city said that if there was going to be redevelopment or if there was going to be adaptive reuse of any city-owned properties, that a majority-controlled developer, in order to get the subsidies, in order to get the land, in order to get the tax abatements, they had to go partner with a minority developer, right? And what that allowed to do is it was a quid pro quo because everybody won. The city won because it got the project that it wanted to get done, right? The majority developer won because he got access to the capital and the gap funding and the land itself. And then the minority developer won because he got a chance to be exposed to all of it, right? And they did that program for a number of years. And now what you have is you have examples of what this type of collaboration actually means, where you are vertically driven, right, to ensure that there is progress around the least of those that are included in something as important as real estate development?
Well, I like to say again, I'm just 30, by the way, you guys. So understanding the traditional real estate and where it's actually going. Okay, again, traditional technology, where it's going. So with that being said, over at the AMX Foundation, which houses Tech at Night and so forth, we just created a software product called Real Dealer. It's private, it isn't out yet, right? But this is basically, we use agentic AI agents, because there's AI, then there's GAI, generative, then there's agentic, and then there's AI agents. There's a separation with them all. We're not going to talk about that right now. But the platform Real Dealer basically uses agentic AI agents to scour data, like, for example, financial suit and CSR data. They're our good friends too, by the way, to streamline data from local counties, FHFA, and so forth, to pinpoint on and off-market properties, but wait, simultaneously vet them too as well. So we started on the ground, right? We have currently 5 properties under contract, and we just started a month ago, right? So we're not only finding the leads, we're vetting the actual properties and packaging them up and getting them ready for the developers with our architects that are feeding the data to where our AI agents will be able to turnkey on its own. So, and that's one thing, right? Traditional, but then you have to understand where it's going. When I mean understanding where it's going, this is a hardware wallet, 3-in-1 digital asset hardware wallet. And I pull this out because Dubai, people in America are starting to tokenize properties. Tokenization is when you fractionalize the equity of any asset, okay? So when we're talking about economic mobility and access, we can put a property up we can put a property up right now and say these people in this zip code in the West End can fractionalize this property and invest $100 in it. Now everybody owns the property, everybody has equity, and everybody has tokens that represent thereof connected to a contract, a digital contract, and now it's connected in their wallet, and that is the ownership. Dubai just did that with $60 billion. This is where it's going with every asset of any world. Mortgage loans, anything you think of, the government's doing it right now, and the regulations are already rolling out in there. You just haven't seen it yet. The only company that's doing it here is Mr. Great Nick Campazano with Zio Development. He's fractionalizing the ownership of his property, but not the cash flow and development that comes through. We'll be able to do all of that. So our platform has buy boxes for T12 and rent rolls, and everything in it automatically turnkey to where we deliver your package. You know the LTV, the NOI cost, the ARV, and everything refinance and so forth. So it's how you teach that, and then we're taking that and gamifying that learning for the local real estate companies, because people like kids need to learn in an accelerated, gamified way, because the millennials are not going to care if you don't convey the information to them in a way they want to, and that's just that.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you for that dialogue. I want to open it up to the audience. Do you all have any questions for our panelists or for myself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Valerie. You all may recognize me from my nonprofit of Hezekiah's Place. My physical sponsor is Change Today, Change Tomorrow. I have a question in regards to the crime and as well as the economics. So I was born here in Louisville, Kentucky. For a while, I was in the Park Duval neighborhood. I recently moved out to the Crescent Hill neighborhood. One of my concerns that I have is I was around a lot of poverty, a lot of violence, a lot of just different things. As I am growing in my nonprofit world and as in a personal, some of the factors that I'm finding is some people, it's hard to get people out of their comfort zone. So that means that we will have a financial literacy class, no one shows up. We'll have food pantries, people are just there just to get, but we'll say, hey, would you like to volunteer, or just other things. my goal, my question would be how to change people's mindsets. Because as someone who has been in poverty and trauma, I know that it's very hard. And so I don't want to give judgment, but I want to kind of learn and how to get access to economic development as well, and just kind of get that narrative, if you guys can kind of understand my question. And I'm sorry if I'm a little bit nervous. So.
I'll take it. We run an after-school program in the Algonquin Park Hill neighborhood, and a lot of you know about that neighborhood. And we work with kids from 1st grade to 10th grade. We run a free after-school program, but to reach the kid, one of the things we do a family engagement night on Wednesdays, and invite the parents and the kids, and we have engagement for the kids and also engagement for the parents about education programs. But I'll say also, one of our key things is our tutors, they are all Jefferson County Public School teachers. And that also brings value to the families, that they know that their kids are being exposed, are being taught by teachers. And also, again, we tie in computers, robotic classes, STEM classes, and just various activities. But the key thing is getting parents involved, and that they feel there's value in what you offer that's going to benefit their family.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that real quick. So, one of the things that we did as a company is we sponsored and paid for opening up 2 free computer labs. One we did at the Shawnee Community Center. And I believe you actually came and taught there before. And so what we did is we figured out real quick that kids like it when there's something that they are working towards, right? And typically that has to be something that they either really want or that they really need in terms of either cash or in terms of, the next new system or game that just came out, right? That they know that they can't necessarily afford, right? And so what we did is we did the whole training, and we did everything. We did AI, we did basic computer skills, we did some financial literacy. But what we did is we kept records, and we said, hey, if you complete this program, right, and at the end of this program, there is some benefit that is going to come back to you, right? So we're trying to tie putting in the work to the reward, right? And when we first started, we didn't do that. But once we initiated that, we had like a 80-90% complete rate. I mean, and this is with kids having to go home and do homework and having to do different reports or whatever it is. But man, you're talking about, we say, well, I think the last one we did at the end of the program, we gave every kid that participated $250 at the end of the program, right? And we timed it to be right around when school was coming back, right? So we knew that they were going to want the new clothes, they were going to want the new Jordans, they were going to want, the I don't know if y'all seen backpacks, but now they $100, right, for the ones that they really want, right? So I think my point is that we have to meet kids where they're at, and we have to incentivize them, because so far what they have seen, right, is we have pushed this, education, degree, this, that, and the other, and then they see people that have all of that still in their community, still living no different than what they lived before they left, right? So they're thinking to themselves, why am I putting myself in debt, right? Why am I going through all of this? And there's nothing on the end of it that is going to change what my current circumstances is, right? And so we have to understand, and this is a little bit elongated, but we have to understand that our kids are paying attention, right? That your kids are paying attention. So the things that we think that they don't know about, or the things that they, have just flown over their heads, right? It really hasn't, right? These kids are so super intelligent just because they've been exposed to stuff a lot sooner, a lot quicker, right? And have access to it a lot more than what we ever thought was even possible, right? They're all walking around with many computers in their hand, which is their cell phone, right? And if it's an iPhone, it's even more so, right? So we have to understand that the way that we are going about changing the trajectory of our kids has to be tied into the social environment and the social experiences that they have had. And the way, at least one of the ways that we have found to be successful is to tie that into an outcome that is different than what they've been exposed to. It's not just do it because you should do it, right? Do it because at the end of the day, there's going to be something on the other side for you.
Yeah. Bless you. Thank you. My name is James Elliott, and I'm chairman of the Descendants of American Slaves Ministerial Alliance. You make a big point about economic mobility. Jasmine showed us charts that showed blacks or descendants of American slaves, how they have relatively stayed still, not moved upward with wealth and a very economic upward movement over the years. Now, Mr. Matthews, you mentioned, and I agree with you, that billions of dollars have been spent in our community, and black contractors. In the past, we saw an upsurge of them participating in developments. But of late, and especially recent late, when the affirmative action was dropped, and I think DEI now dropped, instead of going up, I think black contractors and descendants of American slaves in generally will economically go down. There is a way and there's a reason for this. And with the billions of dollars that have been spent in construction. Now, I've been around here for a few years. I've been here since, I guess, 68. And I watched Carter Home being redeveloped. I watched Bix being developed, Southwick, and now Beecher Terrace. Now, I was a minority business owner, but there was nothing I could do hardly except through the 8A program, which was a federal program, get a contract not in Louisville, Kentucky, but way down in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to provide work for my business, laying floors. But I'm surprised that men like, did you say you a developer? And in many states other than Kentucky. Who is it responsible, or who should be responsible for ensuring that black contractors will have an equitable part of development when these billions of dollars are being spent? And I'll stop.
That's a great question, and thank you for that, right? You know, I'm originally not from Louisville, okay? So I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. And I came here specifically to study development because I met a young lady, and she was doing free tutoring in West Louisville, and she was doing it at a adaptive reuse school known as Shawnee Gardens. And I met the developer, who was a black developer by the name of Clifford Turner, who, God rest his soul, just passed away less than a month ago, right? And Mr. Turner exposed me to real estate development. And I asked him, I said, you know, if I move here and you don't have to pay me anything, right? I'll work with you all day. And don't worry about how I'm going to support my family and meet the goals that I had. But I just need you to show me this, right? Because immediately when I met him, I saw a path and a way not only to affect my own family's future and legacy, but to be very impactful in my community, right? On a number of different ways, right? And so I started down that path. And that was in 2017. So I just celebrated my 8th year of starting this company. And since then, you know, I'm a recipient of a 9% tax credit with Kentucky Housing Corporation, right? So I'm doing 80 units of senior housing in Hopkinsville, Kentucky right now. But going through the system, and to answer your question directly, right, is that the systems are devised in such a way that it is almost impossible for us to get in the system or get access to capital. And what I mean by that, I'll give you just one quick example. Kentucky Housing Corporation, the way the guidelines are written, is that you cannot even access 9% or 4% tax credits, which is the principal financial model used to develop any affordable housing, right? But you cannot access that unless you have already been awarded one. So I'm going to say that again louder for the people in the back. The principal financial vehicle to fund affordable housing is what's known as tax credits. There is a 9% tax credit, there is a 4% tax credit. When you look at any project, including the Eclipse that just had a grand opening yesterday, including the project that is down by University of Louisville, all the major affordable housing developments up and down Cane Run Road, all of those, if you look at the financial structure in the capital stack, have 9% or 4% tax credits. That is a federal program that comes out of the federal government that is allocated to states based on population and census. So the amount of money that you get is directly tied to the number of people that are in your community, right? That is allocated by Kentucky Housing Corporation, right? So within those guidelines for Kentucky Housing Corporation, you cannot get access to those dollars unless you have already done a 9% or 4% tax credit. Well, what's inherently wrong with that, right? Inherently, if you're not already in the group, you're not getting in the group, right? So it's baked in the cake, right? It is what it is. And so what we have to do, and I agree, is that we have to be heavily involved in policy, but we also got to be willing to take it on the chin, right? We have got to be able to say that no matter how hard this gets, no matter how difficult they try to make it, I never got into this thing for the money. I got in it to make a difference and to create a path and to open up a door so that people can see why we are not elevating when the money is there. You can't spend $1 billion in my community and not point to one instrumental black company that is now better, stronger, growing, and advancing because of those dollars that were invested. And if you cannot do that based on that amount of money being spent, then we all have to understand that something ain't right.
Thank you. Thank you. Really quick. We're going over on time. I know people
Okay.
are hungry right now.
I'll make this 1 minute or less, and I had to answer both of you questions. So, starting in the real estate industry and pathways, I started talking to my advisors, and you have to understand also that different entities control that too, like the Port Authority, okay, for developments and so forth. So, if the city wants to develop something else, and the Port Authority says no, it's not going, even if you got a signatory signed from the owners, okay. So, there's to back him and what he's saying. It's down to who you know and that human capital, right? For example, we have a duplex under contracts. One of our contractors is cousins of an insurance adjuster for FEMA. Well, you know what his cousin said? His cousin said FEMA right now is not only, once you have the property, they will put tenants inside of that property, 4 units and above, and pay for those tenants to stay there up to 5 years. So what owner doesn't want that? But here's the thing. It has to be residents that have endured flood, right? Or in a flood area. Well, do you know that the whole Jefferson County by data is a whole flood area, even though everything isn't flooded? So those are tiny things you have to know by human capital that I wouldn't know right now. So now I can put in a package to our investors to say, hey, here's a hot deal, but also if you want a little extra funding, here's what FEMA's doing. Here's what the small developer fund's doing. And then to you, ma'am, with the Change Tomorrow, I would say understand your audience and gamify it, and then create rewards directly to a Kroger card, Walmart card, to keep them coming back, and sustainability, because they might not be getting things like food stamps. So those direct things, reward system.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tyler Baker. I'm actually from Louisville, Kentucky, so it's actually good to be back. I live in Cincinnati now. I know that we have some financial services individuals up here, well seasoned and working in the greater Louisville area. I'm actually in financial services. You actually talked about a little bit earlier on building rapport. Since you've been seasoned in the Louisville area, what tips would you give a young gentleman like myself in order to help build this community? It looks like everybody in this room that's the main initiative, right? Is to help build this community, push it to the right endeavors. So that's my question.
I guess the first thing I tell people is initially get out of debt. Address your debt. Pay extra on your household or on your mortgage principal. Pay down your credit cards. Try to pay down your card payment quickly. Always have emergency savings, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000. And then get in your 401k, at least put 10% in it. If you don't have a 401k, do an IRA or do a Roth, tax-free. And the only thing I can say, when I first started 26 years ago, African Americans were spending about $350 billion. Now they spend $1.5 trillion. So how do you leverage your capital or educate your money that you have a better financial future?
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. We're a little bit over time. I know people are probably hungry, but I would love for, since this conversation was built around the Rotary Peace Positivity, could you close us out, Rick, with just final words?
Very good. Happy to. That's important. But we've heard today that prosperity is greatly facilitated by peace, and it facilitates peace. It's interactive. The two cannot be separated. Now, as you learn more about this complicated topic, as Jasmine suggested to us, of peace, there are a lot of different aspects of it. The organization that Rotary has been working with, the Institute for Economics and Peace, out of Australia, basically identified two very different kinds of peace. They're called negative peace, which is just the absence of violence or the fear of violence. And we all know that's important for being able to have a good business. If your customers are afraid to come, if your workers are not comfortable in your business, there's not going to be peace there, and you're not going to really be doing well. Maybe you're doing something for the investors, but it's not helping the community. And then positive peace, that set of attitudes and institutions and situations that really contribute to our ability to work, learn, share, and be inquiring throughout our community. Some years ago, I heard an educational consultant talk about why Kentucky seems to be backwards in an awful lot of areas. He said he asked people about it, and the answers that he tended to get back was, education is what they did to me in high school. I didn't like it then, I don't want any more of it. And that will keep us set back always if we do not focus on new connections, new learning, whenever we have the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the panel. Great discussion.
Let's give our distinguished panel a rousing applause. This was awesome. Thank you, Robert. Awesome job as moderator. Let's give him a hand. This panel, I got to say a little bit of something about each member of this panel because they each connect with me on a very different level. Certainly, Brother Edwin Fox, I know we go back over 30 years, and I still say his slogan that he taught me 30 years ago, you got to learn how to exercise your money. And then I heard him say today, you got to educate your money. So he's the guy, if you want money, management issues, he's your guy. Brother Kendrick, it's a pleasure to meet you, the exercise coach. Welcome to Rotary and welcome to what we do here. Rick, thank you. The father of the Rotary Club, I call him the general because he commands attention everywhere he goes. He's a wonderful guy. And Brother Matthew, thank you for carrying on the legacy of our dear friend, Brother Clifford Turner, as a developer. And certainly you're always welcome here. And we want you to know how much we appreciate what you do. Save this young man for last because Charles Burns, I met him when he was about 8, 9 years old. He was a protege of mine over at the Urban League. And I remember, he was one of those kids, grew up in the Russell neighborhood. And as you saw today, he's always been high energy. And I don't know if you remember the day we sat down after you had gotten yourself in a little bit of heat with some people. I said, Charles, you're either going to be extremely successful as a leader or you're going to be extremely unsuccessful. And I thank God you took the pathway to being positively successful. So thank you. Thank you. Folks, it's time to eat. Lunch is going to be served. We're going to take about a 30-minute break. Please hang with us for the balance of today because we're going to go through a series of breakouts where we need each of our breakout sessions to be filled. We've got 5 breakouts. We need you to be a part of the discussions. In each one, this is where all of you would have a chance to have a voice on what goes on. But between now and about the next 30 minutes, enjoy a lunch. Thanks to our team that made it happen. Okay? Let's take about a 30-minute break, and we're going to reconvene right here, right after that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is a segment of our summit where we begin to discuss the issues in a little bit more of a granular fashion. The purpose behind a summit here for us at LCCC is to empower our community to have voice. One by one, each individual who shows up has an opportunity to have their voices heard on the issues. The first part of the morning, beginning with our keynote speaker, was to give us really a broad perspective on the issues that we're here to convene about, which is wealth building and achieving prosperity through peace. And I thought we had a phenomenal presentation by Jasmine Presley. So let's congratulate her and thank her one more time. She's still here. And so she gave us her personal testimony, but also gave us some history and some factual representation of what she's gone through and what she's helping other people to go through when it comes to wealth building and money management. And then the panel discussion led by Robert Byers gave us some experts who have demonstrated a success in each of their respective fields around wealth in different ways. So great job with the panel. But this part of it is we want everybody here to have a voice. So I want to do two things. I'm acting on behalf of my friend, my best friend, who's here, Herbert Johnson. He's our MC, but he asked me to keep it going, get us caught up. But we're going to have 5 breakouts, and we've got 5 distinguished facilitators of those breakouts. Robert Byers III will be facilitating a breakout on mission, objectives, and key results, AKA called the MOKR, which is all about goal attainment, helping individuals to set goals and to pursue those goals. So Robert, stand up so everybody can see who you are. Robert Byers will be facilitating that. And then Rhonda Jones, who just came back into the room over to my right, your left, who's with the Small Business Development Center, is going to be talking about how money works. And she's in Suite 129. Robert's going to be in the atrium, right outside the double doors, going into the atrium. Rhonda is going to be over in our Business Intelligence Center, Suite 129, which is over on the Business Plaza. And then we have Ashley Johnson, who's here, right here. Ashley is going to be presenting, she is representing Derby Week Boutique. She's going to be talking about online business development. So we're honored to have her here as well. And then we got a taste of what we're going to hear from Charles Burns. He was one of our panelists earlier, but he is an expert in cryptocurrency. If you heard him talk about all of that, that work that he's involved in. You stand up, Chuck. He's going to be presenting, and he's going to be in our classroom right across the hall. And then last but not least, we've got Dr. Kathleen Gosser and Annie Neil Wadley, both from the University of Louisville, is going to be providing an introduction to franchising, and they are standing right there. But before we do that, and there's going to be a little logistical thing that we got to go through because we've got 5 different breakouts, and we're going to have opportunity for each one of you to experience 2 of them. So they're going to be 45-minute sessions. So I think we're just going to have to go through a process of doing a 1 to 5 count off. And the number 1 is going to be Robert's class, goal attainment. Number 2 is going to be Rhonda's class, how money works. Number 3, Ashley on online business development. Number 4, Charles Burns on cryptocurrency. And number 5, intro to franchising. And so when we do the count off, whatever your number is, you go to that classroom, and then you're only going to get a 45-minute experience before you get a chance to rotate to the next one. So the next one can be the one of your choice, right? And so we want to make sure that all of our classes are filled with at least 4 or 5 people so we can have some good-hearted discussion. Now, before we do that, I do want to do a quick little infomercial here because you all have seen today, we have a strong partnership with Rotary Club of Louisville. I'm honored to be a Rotarian serving on the board of directors of the club. Our club president was here earlier. We still have Rotarians here. Rick Hartnett did a phenomenal job as a panelist. And he was the inspiration as we were engaged in our planning discussion at Rotary to talk about this peace agenda. So I want to thank him for bringing that forward. But one of the other things we did with Rotary a few years ago was we opened up our Business Intelligence Center. And because of that, we have carried on that program, and we have several of our BIC advisors that are here. And I want to recognize them at this point because our BIC advisors work with our staff year-round, organizing and implementing programs that are aimed at empowering our community around these issues. And I see several faces here. I'm not going to start calling names, but I'm going to ask you all to stand up. If you're a BIC advisor, please stand up, because this group is really responsible for organizing this event along with our team. So stand up, if you will. Keisha Allen, Janice Balding Brother, Matthew Hurl, Robert Byers, Ashley Johnson, Rhonda Jones over here, Sharon Johnson as well. And I don't have a list in front of me because I know I'm overlooking, but they work with our team, and we want to make sure that Richard Ballard, Richard, you're on that group. Richard's one of our founding members, he and Keisha, as they were working with city government. But I wanted you all to know and hear from one of our testimonials, individual who we worked with in our partnership with the Louisville Urban League through their Mature Worker program of the Urban League. We were able to bring in Maggie Bailey. And Maggie was with us when we first started the BIC work, and she was our receptionist, and she's right here. So I want you to come on up on the stage, Maggie, because I want you all to see what the experience of being a part of this BIC has done for her as she advances herself through entrepreneurship. And she is an author. She's written a book. The book is called The Envelope. And I'm gonna ask you all to listen to her 2-minute testimonial on how this business venture came as an inspiration from the work that she's doing here as a part of our BIC. Come on up, Maggie.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank the Louisville Urban League for being the platform in my life that allowed me to understand the importance of being a senior. Herb was the main ingredient in the Business Intelligence Center, and he encouraged me. he encouraged me to write my book. And I want to thank Miss Deborah Grant. She's been a great mentor in my life and has allowed me to grow in many ways. But I'm supposed to be talking about my book, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it so I can move on. My book is called The Envelope, and it has to do with addiction that affects every area of my life, and drugs was just a symptom. But after the drugs were removed, I was left with me. And through the 12 steps, I was able to find a personal relationship with God, and I was able to go within to be able to deal with addiction, because it's a threefold disease. It's obsession, which is a persistent, often unreasonable ideal or feeling. It's compulsion. One is too many, 1,000 never enough. It could be a bag of potato chips. It could be love. It could be, the list goes on and on. But then the core of it is the total self-centeredness. And being in the Louisville Central Community Center, I've had an opportunity to find myself. I've had an opportunity to know the importance of having confidence. I came here through the Urban Senior Job Program looking for a way out. And I did, and I found it here. And so as I look at my book, I look at how I've transformed to be not only a beacon of hope, but hope for myself. And so to sum it all up, I thank the Louisville Urban League.
Amen. Thank you, Maggie. And you inspire us every day to continue the work that we do in partnership with the League and so many other collaborators, so thank you. All right, so we're gonna get into this breakout session. Herb, you wanna come up and help? We're gonna organize this in a way that each one of you will get 2 sessions. The first one, you're gonna, through the luck of the draw, be drawn to. All the sessions are gonna be great. Each one of the sessions, you're gonna get a short presentation followed by a group discussion. Each moderator, facilitator is gonna ask you some questions that each one of you would have an opportunity to have a voice on. I do want you to know our goal is to record each one of those sessions because we do use these opportunities as data collection opportunities as we hear the voices, and we use that to empower us to do a report out to the community and to all of our stakeholders as well. So, if I can get all 5 of our facilitators to come up to the front, Robert, Ashley, Rhonda, Dr. Gosser, Charles Burns. I'm going to assign each one of them a number. We do need the U of L team in here, if you don't mind getting them. David, you're closest to them. So we're going to give them a number. Robert is number 1. He's always number 1. Robert's number 1. Rhonda's number 2. Ashley's number 3. She's over there by the team. Charles is number 4. And the U of L team, Dr. Gossner and Annie are number 5. So we're going to do a count off starting here. And as I point to you, you're going to call the number starting from 1, going to 5. And then whatever number you end up with, you follow the respective facilitator. Y'all got it? Anybody need to know the numbers again? Robert's number 1. Rhonda's number 2. Ashley's number 3. Charles Burns is number 4. And Team U of L is 5. Okay, here we go. I had to give you the Steve Harvey look. The second one you go to will be of your choice. Okay? Your number? 1. Starting over?
1, 2, 3. 1.
5. Simpson?
1, 2, 3. 4.
1.
2, 3. 1.
4. All right. Jermaine, 1.
2.
David, you in? You're doing breakouts. Everybody has an opportunity. You 2, David.
4.
All right, we got enough to go with. Anybody else? Follow your facilitator to their breakout. 45 minutes. 45 minutes. 3's going to stay right here.